Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies Live. I usually go live on Saturdays, but yesterday I was in Austin, Texas for their annual event known as the Bastards Ball and had absolutely fantastic time. I think this was my fourth ball that I've been to, and for some reasons, this was actually is my favorite. And other reasons, it wasn't as good as others. What I really liked about it was the weather. The weather was absolutely fantastic. The weather was fantastic going out there. Weather was fantastic when I was there, and the weather was fantastic coming home, which means I had a really good flight going out. Nice, smooth flight coming home, and I'm probably one of the smoothest landings I've ever had. Austin's always a little turbulent on the landing, but it wasn't too bad. Weather was fantastic when we were there. Really comfortable. It was sunny with a little bit of clouds, nice cool breeze. As always, it's not about the whiskey, although the whiskey was good. It's always about meeting up with the people, which got to meet up with Matt, Sarah, and Will from the Whiskey Crusaders. It was great to see them there. Excuse me. Kilco was there, drink some water. Was there a lot of other whiskey tubers were not there. Roy didn't make it out. Aquavite, he's super busy. I think Scott Bruno from Scotch Systemies was tied up doing SMWS things. And it was a much more scaled back event. It didn't seem as elbow to elbow, you might say, which actually I preferred that. So it was a little more mellow, a little bit more mellow. There were, I think, 7 distilleries. Some of the same distilleries were there, mostly Texas whiskey distilleries, Balcones and Iron Root. Great to see the Iron Root gang. Great to see Gabe and Jared Hempstead from Balcones. I took pictures with everybody and I pushed them on my Facebook if you follow me on Facebook. So I'm making something for it here. But overall, an absolutely fantastic time. And it's good to be back. I'm glad I have tomorrow off. Tomorrow's a federal holiday. If you're a federal employee or your employer gives a day off. Really glad because I am kind of tired. And because I'm in study mode, in constant study mode, all my free time is used studying. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to take a day off to go do something else because I could be using that time studying. But because I've got Monday off as a federal holiday, then I'm like, hey, it's okay. I got Monday off. Still have Sunday and Monday as a weekend. I can Saturday go out and have a good time at the Bastards of Ball. So I've got 2 whiskeys here, the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie and the Arran 10-year-old. Let me say hello to a few people who have tuned in. Bourbon Neophyte, thanks for tuning in. Evening, you magnificent whiskey people. Cheers. Donner Pass, how you doing, ma'am? Donner, one of these days, I know it's a long drive. If you ever come down to the coast, you got to come and say hello. Matthew Renke, thanks for tuning in. Brandon, hey, great to sit on the patio with you. Well, thank you very much. And Haro Master, I don't think I've seen you in here before. Thank you much for joining in. And Rob Smith, hello, everybody. All right. So when I was reviewing the Classic Laddie, what was going through my mind, one, obviously exams are on my mind, so that's going through my mind is, if this were to show up on an exam in a blind tasting, would I recognize it as a Bruichladdich? Would it even cross my mind that this could be from Islay? If you're tuning in, you don't know, I'm studying for an exam, the Master Scotch exam that I'll take at Islay Distillery in April 17th, 18th, and 19th in Scotland next year. Because the first thing that goes on, particularly coming from my wine background, is, I mean, you think of the aromas, the flavors, the structure, the alcohol, the weight, and the indicators of age, cask type, but then regionality. I think generally they will probably, again, this is a chess game, trying to think about how they're going to plan things. Choose whiskeys that are perhaps the best representative of the regions. If you look at the 24. Hey, Judith Stool, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. If you look at the 24 profile distilleries that they have on there, and here we go. If you look at where these are at, you have representatives of Islay. Kalila's not on there. We have representative Islay. You have representative of the Highlands, representative Orkney. Obviously, you got Highland Park there, and the Lowlands, Speyside. So you have a little bit of everything spread out all over the place. Of course, and Campbelltown with Springbank. So a little bit all over the place. Good representatives, all the various regions. My guess is if they're going to, if you're being tested on your knowledge of Scottish whiskey, that they might lean towards what is a good representation, not only of that distillery but of that particular region. So with that in mind, although Talisker is peated and has a little bit of a peppery kick on the end of it, obviously Highland Park has a distinctive peat character, but it's very, very distinct and different from anything from Islay. But if you're thinking of in terms of strategy and categorizing and put things in your mind, is would this catch me off guard? Would my mind go, oh yeah, I think this is from Islay? Short answer to that is no. No, I would not. Unless I just really, 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 really go, oh, this is just obviously the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie. I would probably confuse. This is my thinking: is would probably confuse it for a whiskey from some other region, and I would start to go through the catalog in my brain what it could possibly be. So very citrus forward with a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of lemon, perhaps a little bit of orange. If there's anything in here, because it's completely unpeated. Oh, let me give you the notes here in a second. It's completely unpeated. If there's anything in here that might be an indicator that it could be from Islay, you might think there could be a hint of saltiness in there. Let me bring up the notes on these two whiskeys. So in my mind was, okay, if I was going to find something that is comparable, that's a non-Islay whiskey, what could it be, or something that category or a comparable distillery? My mind thought of Arran. Now, when I planned this live stream, what I didn't do is think, oh, is Arran on the list of potential distilleries or one of the 24? And the answer is no, it's not. Arran is not this year, or in 2024 is not on the list of distilleries. They could throw it in as a ringer. While there's 24 distilleries profiles, you're supposed to really, really, really know anything, whether it's an oral exam or written exam or tasting, potentially they could throw it in there. But let me show you the profile of these two whiskeys, and I think you'll get a better understanding why I chose these two. All right, so age-wise, 10 years and under, so 6 to 10. The Classic Laddie does come across as youthful, but it doesn't have the youthful notes that I really don't. It doesn't seem overly limey. It doesn't seem new makey. It doesn't seem like it's got a lot of age on it. But I think as we get into it, neither does the Arran 10-year-old. Bruichladdich 100% Scottish barley. I looked for notes on the Arran 10-year-old, on Arran whiskeys. Where are they getting their barley from? I couldn't find anything, either in books or online, where they mention where they get their barley from. It may be 100% Scottish barley, but I couldn't find anything to point that out. The Classic Laddie is an ex-bourbon cask. Now, I read from their website, there can be variations from bottling to bottling of this, but I don't find anything other than ex-bourbon cask. The Arran is ex-bourbon, and it says ex-sherry cask, excuse me. But I think the ex-sherry is quite the minor player in this, and we'll see that as we get into it. And one thing is, if you just look at the color, again, we'll get into that in just a second. It doesn't look like a sherry cask whiskey. This is and this is the next few are probably, I would say, the real reasons why I'm comparing these is both are non-chip filtered, both have natural color, and they're in that 46 to 50% range. So not cash strength, not real high ABV, and yet not the lighter ones of the 40 and 43 range. So I think this is a good, fair head to head. One of the things about the Arran 10-year-old is the Arran 10-year-old's been getting a lot of love from whiskey tubers and in the Oswald, the online Scotch Whisky Awards, which is going on right now. If you haven't already, check it out and vote. The online Scotch Whisky Awards. In the last couple of years, it's just gotten a lot of love, and I kind of go, well, they changed their labels, they changed the containers. It's much more plain. The font type is a much more regional. It's much more minimalistic, you want to say, and that has got a lot of attention. Got a lot of attention. People didn't like the old writing, whatever, the old font or whatever they had. But people are spending far too much time talking about the labels than they are about the whiskeys. I think the whiskeys are good, but a lot of the other bottlings I found to come across a little too young. And I've been to Arran Distillery, like the whiskeys, and they have a lot more whiskeys available at the distillery than what is out there on the market. I liked them, but I wasn't overwhelmed on the quality. I thought some of them, particularly these non-age segment lines coming out, I thought they could use some more time. All righty. So color, you can see that it is a sort of a pale gold, almost like the color of a Chardonnay. The Arran, almost, I would say practically identical. Practically identical. That light, sort of pale golden straw color. Wow. Okay. Anything that can compete with Classic Laddie has got to be worth trying, regardless of it's better or not. Complete. I mean, yeah, I got you. I got you. I really enjoy the Classic Laddie. Such a good dram. Please hit that like button and support the channel. There you go. Thank you very much. Afa Adi, Eric. I don't know what that means. Absolutely, can drink great on ice during the hot. Yep, it's funny. I think I even said that in my video. Is a Classic Laddie does well on ice. If you want something sort of light, refreshing, and crisp, it hits those notes. So I think it's a good head-to-head in terms of the general profile. 6 to 10 years, non-chill filtered. One's bourbon cask, one's bourbon. I would say probably in comparison a minor amount of a sherry cask influence, non-chill filtered, natural color. And then the price wise, what was the price on these? I can't remember if I put the price on it. No, I didn't put the prices. I'm not going to take the time to look them up. Of course, price is always variable depending on where you live and where the market's at. I'm going to guess that they're probably fairly comparable. All right. So the Classic Laddie, it's more lemon in terms of fruit. There's a slight malty, dusty character. I mean, it could be just because I know they're near the ocean, that therefore I'm thinking oceanic character, but it's a little slight like a powdered sugar on like a lemon bar. The Arran 10. Well, the Arran 10 is much more orange in character. Definitely. Yeah, almost like an orange creamsicle. There's a nice maltiness there. Both, I would say, are fairly floral. So it's almost like lemons versus oranges. Both are fairly vibrant, live, medium plus to pronounce noses that really jump up out of the glass. Very, very pretty, very elegant. There, I would say there's a slightly extra layer in the Arran 10-year-old. There's like dried oranges, oranges that you would take out of a Christmas cake, that kind of a thing. There's a lemon note as well. So both have really nice spice notes. There's almost like a slight white pepper with the Bruichladdich, which I didn't really pick up on before. Whereas the Arran 10 is more cinnamon, maybe a hint of black pepper, and baking spices. All right. So, hey, Grumpy Old Fort, how you doing, man? Bruc is under 60 and Arran 10 is above 60 at Total Wine. How much below 60 and how much above 60? So anyway, so Arran, so Bruichladdich is cheaper than 60 and Arran is over than 60. I'm guessing this may be Arran 10 has gotten a lot more praise, and that has driven prices up just a little bit. Just bought a bottle of the Classic Laddie for $47. That's going to be challenging to beat. I mean, single malt, non-chip filtered, an integrity bottling, we'd say, for under $50. That is hard to come by. That is really hard to come by. Dustin, how you doing, man? I'd guess in the States, 45 to 70 and 60 to 85 range. There's a little bit of overlap there. So depending on where you're living, it could vary. Grumpy Old Park says $3 difference. Okay, so that's in my bank account, $3. A cup of Starbucks coffee costs more than that. All right, so we've looked at the visuals. By the way, the flight back from Austin was really. I'm not a comfortable flyer, and so I keep myself busy. And my phone just went ding. Hold on. Hey Siri. Hold on. I'm gonna put on mute. Hold on. Hey Siri. Turn on Do Not Disturb.
Okay, Do Not Disturb is now on.
Okay. I just got a comment from Siddharth. He's a master of Scotch. Answering my questions, which is actually funny. It's funny because it actually relates to what I'm just about to talk about. That's funny. I had Siddharth on my channel. We talked about the journey to becoming a master of Scotch, and he lives down in Southern California. And so I had to send him a text earlier today regarding the essay questions for the Council of Whiskey Master of Scotch exam, which just really funny. He just sent me a message, and it relates to what I was just about to talk about, which is on the way back from Austin to keep myself distracted. I have 25 questions from the Council of Whiskey Masters. So there's a blind tasting test, there is an oral exam, and there's a written exam. For the written exam, there are 25 essay questions that are on the website, and they change every year. I wasn't sure, are those 25 questions actual questions that will be on the exam, or will it just be those are examples of the type of questions you could have on the exam? He just answered the question. He says those are the actual questions, which is good. So what I was doing on the way back from Austin is to keep myself distracted. I was typing answers. If you're watching this, and if you plan on taking the exam in Scotland in next April, and if you aren't already working on this, I highly recommend you start now. My goal or my plan is I'm going to write full essays on every question, and I'm not going to make my answers available to the public. But what I will do, I'll give you a little strategy as to how to prepare. So there's if you've taken WSET exams, Wines for Educational Trust exams, they're all essay questions. It's not multiple choice. You're not getting true or false or that kind of thing. It's essay questions, at least at the diploma level. What I'm doing is here's a question, have 3 points or 3 points in your answer. And then remember the main emphasis, and then sell your points. Sell your answer. So let's, for example, I'm going to make I'm going to make an example. What do you think is superior, Napa Valley, Cabernet Sauvignon, or Bordeaux red wines, which are Cabernet based, Cabernet and Merlot based? Support your answer. Okay, so imagine if you had a question on that. Obviously, I'm talking about wine, not about whiskey at the moment. Support your answer. I would argue that Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon is superior to Bordeaux Cabernet Sauvignon based wines because of the following. One, a superior climate. Two, a more consistent vintages. Three, because of a historical event that occurred in 1976. So those are my 3 points. Now the rest of it, I'm going to be taking those 3 points and then flushing it out, right? So if I was doing Napa Valley, I'm thinking Napa Valley has a Mediterranean climate. Bordeaux has a maritime climate, which then leads to inconsistent vintages. The Bordeaux has better soil, but anyway, more consistent vintages in Napa Valley due to the climate, so on and so forth. The vintage of the wine is less of an issue, whereas in Bordeaux, 2013 is a completely written off year. It's just a really, really bad vintage. Whereas Napa Valley, it's if you have a so-called lesser vintage, there's actually some producers that do better in those years. Anyway, and then the third, for historic reasons, because of the 1976 Judgment of Paris, in the blind tasting on French soil, Napa Valley producers beat French producers using French judges. Okay, and then I would flush it out. That'd be paragraphs. Okay, I just gave you in a nutshell what I would do. So in that same sort of process, if you're going to be writing out answers for these 25 questions, do that. Remember your 3 basic points that you want to make, and have data in your head as to how to back that up. So now once you get your question, because you don't know what the question is, as soon as you see that on a piece of paper, quickly jot down, because your brain's going to go, because you're under stress and your brain's going, and your brain just like facts are coming through your brain. Oh, this is my brain anyway. Facts are coming through. Before you lose it and you start getting the spinning wheel of death on your brain, jot them down. Quickly jot down your 3 points. And if your brain's going, oh shit, if it's spinning, don't worry about it. Just continue to work on, and then begin to flush out your essay questions, your essay answers, and that's how to do the exams. All right, I know enough talk about the exams. Let's get into the whiskeys. On the palate, let's get a quiz question going on here. Matthew Wenke. Because of taxes here in Washington State, I hunt online like crazy to purchase. I have to find it to be 10 to 15, 20% total cost cheaper to buy from a shop in the UK and ship it than to buy local. Well, if that's your experience, that's great. But if you're looking at tariffs and shipping costs, particularly auction houses are the worst. If I can buy local and not be paying shipping costs and tariffs, I find that to be cheaper. But I'm in California. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're just screwed up there in Washington. The only thing I don't like about the Laddie is I never know how much I have left in the bottle. That is true. That is true. It's a pretty bottle. I love that color. It's sort of the color of the Glenlivet 12. And I actually thought about going head to head with because of the color of the box, whatever. But this is 40 ABV, and it's not integrity bottling. Price wise, and it's a lot. This is like probably another $10 cheaper than the Classic Laddie. But the only thing that would make it comparable is the color of the box, and that's not a good enough reason to make it a comparison. But Glenlivet's, I think, if I recall correctly, is on the list. All right. You know what's weird? I am getting a faint smoke, and I shouldn't be, but it's very faint, and maybe it's purely suggestive. But it would be more like an oak smoke than peat, like a cask character. All right, let's get into our quiz. When was Bruichladdich Distillery founded? 1779, B, 1815, C, 1816, or D, 1881. All right. All of these are years of distilleries in Islay. And Dustin says the tariffs are gone now. It's pretty much as always cheaper for me to Scotch shipped. Okay, the tariffs are gone away, but did they lower the prices to pre-tariff times? That's my question. And Matthew says D. And Grumpy Old Fart says C. All right. And the answer is D, 1881. 1881. Okay, so 1779 is Bamor. 1815 is Ardbeg and Lefroy. 1816 is Lagavulin. 1881 is Bruichladdich and Bunnahabhain. Bunnahabhain and Bruichladdich have the same date. And Ardbeg and, man, I'm going to screw this up. Lefroy have the same date. All right. I haven't even tasted anything yet, and we're already 27 minutes in. Now, which one you like better or like more is completely subjective. But I'm trying to remember, has the Bruichladdich Classic Laddie shown up on the Oswas? And if it hasn't, should it? Prices didn't go up with tariffs in the UK. Now they went with 2020 happening. Yeah. When the tariffs hit, the prices went up here in the United States. They don't say, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the prices are now going up because of tariffs. And it was the single malts that got hit. Now, what was the cause of effect? Anyway, there's also the popularity, high demand, yada, yada, yada. It has not shown up in the Oswas, only Port Charlotte 10. Yep. I think, and Port Charlotte 10 is a fantastic whiskey. But I kind of wonder if, when you're thinking of Islay distilleries, if it's sort of overshadowing the Classic Laddie. All right. It's light, it's crisp, it's really malty. You're tasting that cereal note to it. A little vanilla, a little powdered sugar, which probably due to youth. Not necessarily like a huge development, like a lot of change from front and the middle into the finish. But right now, I'm still tasting it. This, I think, it's the style of whiskey that's for a particular occasion, and an occasion in which, I know I'm a wine guy. Hey, I want a Sauvignon Blanc. Something very crisp, very light. No oaks, characters, stainless steel, or a Chardonnay that hasn't gone through heavy malolactic fermentation. or Spanish grape like Albarino or something like that. This is that sort of play. I could imagine if you wanted something that might do well with if you're. I'm not big into whiskey and food pairing. It's not my. I know a lot of people do it. It's not my thing. Um, it's in books and it's at the uh, whiskey marketing school down in Texas. It's part of the teaching stuff like that. It's just not my particular thing. When I think food pairing, yeah, I'm thinking wine. I'm not thinking whiskey. Hmm. I know Nick Offerman likes Lagavulin with his steak. It's just not me. All right, question number 2. I think we only have 5 questions tonight, so it's not a real long. Gentlemen, where? I haven't seen any of those tonight. All right, question number 2. Who founded Bruichladdich? Bruichladdich, not Bruichladdich. Bruichladdich Distillery. McDougall and Company. This is probably the most difficult question tonight, but all these were on short quiz questions throughout the week. B. Donald and Alexander Johnston. C. Robert, William, and John Gourlay Harvey. Or D. David Simpson. Who founded? I'm trying to remember that this one historical point. So when I did 54 videos in which I did the entire history of 54 distilleries. A lot of that's just really difficult to remember, which is why in these profile videos, I'm just telling you who founded it and who is the current owner. Some of these distilleries change, like Glendronach, they changed like 20 times, in 200 years. To try to remember every owner, and it'd be like, that'd be really, really, really difficult. But you should at least try to remember who founded it. A, D, and the answer is Robert, William, and John Gourlay Harvey. So 3 brothers, Robert, William, and John Harvey. All right. On to the Arran 10-year-old. If I would need another year of studying and tasting. I'm really, really, really hoping I pass in April because I'm when you're doing something all the time, even though it's something that you love to do, you can kind of go to where you turn something that you love into too much hard work, and you lose the love of it because you're starting to feel a little bit burnout. You're not going out and having fun hiking in the woods or bicycling or going to the beach over here or whatever because hey, I need to study. I'm going to put some time into this, and it can become. And I've done this a lot, particularly in my wine studies. After a while, it's just like I'm burnout. You can get burnout, which is part of if you pass. It's like, I can take all my flashcards and put them away, whatever. So one of the main reasons I hope I study so that way I can kind of chill and relax afterwards. But something I think would an interesting study in blind tasting is, and unfortunately, distilleries aren't going to tell you this. So you can have, and I've mentioned this before in a video, 100% sherry, 100% bourbon cask over here, something that's 100% sherry cask over here, and then a variation in between as to how, and you could dial it in as to how much bourbon cask influence versus how much sherry cask influence. Whether it's amount of time you finished it in a sherry cask, or if you're creating finished whiskeys and then blending them together in certain proportions, as Abelauer does. Excuse me, because you can have a whiskey that is, just the color of it is real dark, and I'm just gonna pull a number out. Let's say I don't know, 10 years in a bourbon cask and then 2 years in a sherry cask, and the whiskey is dark because those 2 years in the sherry cask added a lot of color to it. And it could be a wet cask or whatever, or a seasoned cask, whatever. But you could also have where, and I think this is the case with Arran, it just has just a slight touch of a sherry cask influence, which is what is giving it that orange character. I think of like Glenmorangie. I think of a lot of other distilleries where you get that dried orange fruit character, and that's coming from a sherry cask. But I think it's also coming from the fermentation. But I've never had a cask that was 100% bourbon cask, whether it's a refill or first fill, that gave me that orange fruit note. So while you can get fruity esters from fermentation, I've never seen that in a bourbon cask, which leads me to think typically more often you're going to get that from a sherry cask and a slight sherry cask influence rather than fermentation. I got to blow my nose. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Sorry, I got allergies as always. Man, but not so bad that it interferes my ability to smell. Just sneezing a lot, eyes burn a little bit, and I see it's inescapable. When I'm here or in Austin, Texas, I've always got allergies going on. All right, next question. Question number 3. Who is the current owner? This should be easier. Who is the current owner of Bruichladdich Distillery? Who is the current owner? Is it Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, also known as LVMH? Is it Beam Suntory? Is it C, Remy Cointreau, or D, Diageo? Grumpy Fart says, I asked the fella at my Abelard tasting, why do they add color? He ignored me the rest of my time there. Does Abelard use E150? I don't recall that. C. Oh, he's got a Bruichladdich logo on it. Oh, that's cool. Rob Smith, C. Matthew, A. No, C. All right. You don't lose any points on that one. And the answer is Remy Cointreau. Remy Cointreau. If you're not familiar with Remy Cointreau, they do cognac, more known for cognac. So Bruichladdich was brought back to life, so to speak. I think it was 2001. By my brain just went. I hate it when it happens. He's now he started in Waterford, over in Ireland. He had a wine background. He then got Jim McEwen to come over. Mark Rainier. Man, I hate it when my brain does that. It gets worse as you get older, or you get tired, or you've had a few too many. All right. Yeah, Rainier. You got the name misspelled, but that's all right. Yeah, Mark Rainier. I know. Well, it's like it came to me. It came to me. All right. Both are fairly sweet. The Bruichladdich is more lemon. The Arran is more orange. Now, when I think of sherry cask, I think of dried black fruit notes, fig, dates, raisins. Think of Glendronach. Think of Abelard. Think of Bunhaven 12-year-old. Think of the Macallans. I don't get that kind of character from these, so it's not a heavy sherry cask influence. So in a blind tasting, if you're getting something that looks like bourbon cask, And so the slight color there is to it could be more interaction with a bourbon cask or just a touch of sherry cask, but you're getting a slight dried orange fruit character. That's an indicator. That's a flag that has just a touch of a sherry cask. Both are crisp, light, refreshing. Lemon versus more of a slight orange character. There is, I mean, it's very faint, very, 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 very faint. Almost a slight chocolate character. It's very faint on the Arran. A slight almond um, bitter note. I mean, it's very, very, we're talking very, 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 very faint. And again, that's from the sherry cask, from the oxidative notes of Oloroso sherry. It's very, very, very faint. This is a whiskey to really pick up on that, man. You'd have to be like really honed in and really focused, and the rest of the world is off your mind, and you are on the top of your game in terms of your ability to smell and stuff like that. Being hit, if you're coming off a cold, heavy allergies, or you ate something, a couple hours ahead of time, might be enough to just throw you off because they're very, very, very subtle in their character. There is just a touch of a salty note on the classic Laddie that I like, that I don't get in the Arran. There's slightly a little bit more of a vanilla note on the classic Laddie that I don't get on the Arran. Both have a very distinct, a real nice malty, syrily character to them. Let's get on to the next question. Question number 4. Okay, I think I already gave this answer away. Who resurrected Bruichladdich Distillery in 2001? If you get this one wrong, then you weren't paying attention earlier. Who resurrected Bruichladdich in 2001? Anthony Wills, B. Jim McEwen, C. Hunter Lang and Company, or D. Mark Rainier and Murray McDavid? Okay, why are you saying Jim McEwen? I don't think, because I don't. I think if I got this wrong, because I don't think it was Jim McEwen. I was going to the answer. Mark Rainier and Murray McDavid. Mark Rainier, and who then brought in Jim McEwen from Bowmore Distillery. So Jim McEwen was at Bruichladdich, but Mark Rainier and Murray McDavid, and I also think there was some other investors, but actually ones who resurrected it. If I am wrong, I am willing to be corrected. Jim is the master distiller. Right. Right. So he came over from Bowmore or Bowmore. Right. Yes, he definitely had a hand in there. Absolutely. If you haven't seen it, there is a really good documentary. I know there was a lot of hype about it when it first came out. Now I can't remember it. I've watched it on. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. If someone can remember what the name of it is, put the name, put the name in there. There's a documentary done really, really, really well. There was a lot of the guy who did the movie. And Jim McEwen's in it. Water of Life. Thank you very much. There you go. Water of Life. If you've not seen Water of Life, highly recommend it. And in some ways, it seems like a promo for Bruichladdich Distillery, but it's really, really good. In fact, tonight, after we do this live stream, I'm going to rewatch it. So if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can now watch it for free on Amazon Prime. All righty. Next question. This will be our 5th question. And I think it's our final question. Yep, our final question. And then I'm going to tell you which I prefer between the two and why. What does the name Bruichladdich mean? What does the name Bruichladdich mean? Hold on. There's something I want to go back to about that last question. Anthony Wills, before I move on, I'll use it as an opportunity. Anthony Wills, what did Anthony Wills do on Islay? I'll go back to that. Anthony Wills is the founder of Kilchoman, which was founded in 2004. So it will be. I've been doing Kilchoman coming up. Yeah, right. Yeah, Anthony Wills is the founder of Kilchoman. He founded in 2004. So think of Bruichladdich being resurrected in 2001. 3 years later, Kilchoman was founded, and it was the first distillery to be founded on Islay in like 124 years. So the first new distiller, of course, Arran came along. All right, let's go back to our question. What does it mean? A, sunken rock, B, bray of the shore, C, the small promontory, or D, hollow of the mill? And I think Rob B said B. And the answer is bray of the shore. Bray of the what the heck is a bray? Well, first of all, a small promontory is a jot of land sticking out from the shore, which in Gaelic is ardbeg. Hollow the mill is Lagavulin. So bray of the shore. A bray. So if you've been to Bruichladdich Distillery, watch my video on it. I do a panoramic or a video shot across the bay and then across the distillery in it. But behind Bruichladdich, it starts to go up like the hillside starts to go up like that. So here's the water, here's the distillery, and then there's a hill coming up behind it. That's the bray. That's the bray of the shore. All right. Bray of the shore. So you learn more than just about whiskey here. We learn some topographical terms. All right. So which do I prefer? I think the Arran 10 is a little bit more complex. I think it's got a little bit more going on there. And it's that sherry note. Just that slight sherry note adds another character to it. That little bit of an dried orange character to it. A little bit, just a little bit of like an almond bitterness on the back of it. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. But I could see where I could be in the mood for Bruichladdich. That's lemony fresh. Just something lemony fresh that it would be something I'd be in the mood for. Of course, there is the price difference. If what the viewers here have set out the prices, but is it worth the extra bucks to go from a Bruichladdich to an Arran 10? Maybe. But I think if you buy either one of these, I think you're gonna be happy. I think you're gonna be happy with it. It is difficult to tell where the heck it is in the bottle because it's opaque. Probably down about right there. I do like. They did change the corks. I did a short video in which I complained about the corks. Corks were breaking. This is a real cork, but it's holding together. It's got those little spots. Anywhere you got those spots is where there's the potential for breaking. And this is a recently bought bottle. I had gotten an email from the distillery saying that they were changing the corks. Well, this one they did not change. They did not change. which tells me this has a potential for breaking. It's got those little spots. I don't like that. The Arran has them as well too. Yep. All those little spots in there are they're natural gaps in the cork because this gets punched out of the bark of a cork tree, and most cork comes from Portugal. In case you're wondering, out of cork trees out of Portugal, and with a lower ABV wine, 14 to 18, or maybe some ports get up to around 20. It may not have as dramatic a impact. But what you're talking 40% minimum and above, and with a table wine, you open it up, and you're gonna finish the bottle within a couple days. And most wines are people buy them at the store, they go home and have them with dinner that night. They're not laying them down for years and years and years. I do, and so that's where your bigger challenge with wines is you lay it on its side so you have a direct contact with the cork. You don't want it to dry out because then your wines become oxidized. And if you're aging wines, like so I know these are all whiskeys, but over there, and there's a nook over there, I've got 4 wine refrigerator units over there, and I've got Bordeaux that I'm sitting on. And even more so with, say, ports, that constant contact and wet can start to break down a cork, and they break. So now, if you buy a bottle or 2 of whiskey, and you go to that whiskey until that bottle's done, and then you buy another one, you're pretty safe. But if you got a collection like this, I get it down to about here, and then I move on to the next one, and I might not come back to these whiskeys for quite some time. That's where you're in the danger of let's say I reviewed this year, I might not get back to 2 more years, and by that time, even if the cork has not been in contact with the spirit, just from the vapors, it can start to deteriorate the cork, and the cork starts to dissolve into the whiskey, and you'll look at it and you'll see minute little chunks floating around, and it'll start to become hazy. And a bottle like this, you would never see that. And there's no saving it. There's no saving the whiskey. It's just gone. It's gone. And if it's had the bottle's half empty, you bought it 2-3 years ago, whatever, you're not taking it back to the store. I've had whiskeys that as soon as I pulled it, they had cork taint, trichlorine anisole, and because the bottle only had a little bit taken out, and I brought it back, I was able to get another bottle. That's not that common. But if some bottle's half empty and it's just dissolved into it, you're screwed. And good luck trying to get a refund. The distillery, Bruichladdich did not offer to replace the bottle. I basically screwed. I lost 2 bottles that I brought back from Islay, plus a bottle of Port Charlotte 10. So a little pissed off about that. All right, enough about that. About another stupid cork rant. Everybody gets upset about E150. I know I'm still going. Everybody gets upset about E150. I've never had a bottle ruined because of E150. Everybody gets upset about non-chill filter and natural color. And again, I don't want E150 added, and I like my whiskeys to be integrity. I don't like chill filtering either. But I've never had a bottle ruined because of it. Ruined because of it. And so anyway, enough of that. All right. We need more ranting about corks. All right. I saw that short. PC. What a shame. Yeah. Yeah. I still have the bottle. The whiskey didn't go bad. I just, the use of sherry really works. Yeah. Well, with the Arran 10, I agree. That really is subtle but exceptional bottle. Yeah, I agree. And the funny thing is, from a geeky side of things, not to go on another rant, if you're into getting hammered and drunk and sloshed, all that's lost. If you get inebriated, the subtleties in whiskeys, you're going to be a dullard, and you're not going to notice the subtleties, and you're not really going to. I don't think you're really going to appreciate those. But when you can analyze and sort of meditate and reflect on the whiskey, and just taking a very small amount and just letting it experience the whole thing without, going chug, chug, chug. Um, you're gonna really be able to appreciate that. It's the same thing with wines. If people who are getting a drunk typically and just get hammered all the damn time are gonna buy the cheap shit unless they just got money to blow. Because if your aim is to get hammered, why spend a lot of money on a fine whiskey or fine wine? All right, enough of that. I know I'm not. So two rants. One is a anti-drunk rant, and then another is um the Cork rant. But I just, why do you want to get hammered? Why do you want to be vomiting? Why do you want to anyway lose your liver, lose your life? So a guy I was a roommate with in the Marine Corps and went on with LAPD, died and left a widow and 5 kids due to drunkenness and drunk driving. I've known at least a half a dozen people, some in my family, who just really jacked up their lives. They are self-medicating because they're not dealing with their issues, whether it's PTSD or whatever else, or just to try to, they think it's going to solve the problems. And they don't realize the people around them will start to distance themselves because they don't want to be around a drunk and they don't want their kids to be around a drunk. And so, like, you know what? Why not going to Charlie's house or whatever? Well, we're not going to invite Charlie over because, well, we're not going to spend the holidays with. I'm just making up a name, Charlie. Because I can't be around Uncle Charlie or whatever when he's drunk, and I don't want my kids around Uncle Charlie or Aunt Susie or whatever. All right. Well, to be fair, the Arran is also exceptionally easy to overindulge. Yes, but that's a lot. I mean, what isn't really good pizza, really good barbecue, really good fill in the blank, really good chocolate, really good. I mean, anything that's really, really, really good requires a wee bit of self-discipline. That otherwise, you end up like that. Oh man. Alrighty. So, if I had to choose between the two and spending the money, I'm going to Arran 10. I'm going to Arran. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Arran 10. I'm going to Arran 10. But I still do really do the Classic Laddie. But yeah, the funny thing is, it's funny. I appreciate the Arran 10 more now than I previously did because I put it up against another whiskey. If you aren't doing this at home, do it with friends, family, and doing comparative whiskey tasting. Try to get them in similar, peated versus peated, sherry cask, whatever, that are similar and go up against each other. And you may start off thinking, oh, this one's going to win. But then when you actually put them up again, you go, oh, I'm kind of surprised. I ended up liking this one, particularly if you do a blind. If you can do them blind, you may come away liking something a lot more than you thought you would. And you may find you like something, maybe you didn't like it quite as much as this one, but it's $50 cheaper. And so you realize it really is a better value, that it really is a better value. So very, very valuable educationally and enjoyment. Great way to have conversations with friends because it's really about hanging out with people. I love the Bastards Ball, flying all the way out to Austin, Texas. It's not about the whiskeys. I tried there and I tasted some. And actually, the best whiskeys you're going to try if you were there isn't necessarily the distilleries who have tables. It's that people bring bottles to share, particularly those who stay at the what's the name of that? There's a hotel, the La Quinta Hotel. People bring bottles to share. That can be the bigger whiskey event than the Bastards Ball itself because people bring a lot of the rare stuff and special stuff to share, and you can try some stuff you never thought you'd ever try beyond the 7 distilleries that are there. So, poured a 26-year-old Highland Park for a friend last night. He couldn't get the age, so I poured a 12-year next to it for him to compare. He got the age. Yeah. So sometimes, unless something's put up against something else to make it stand out, you're not really going to notice it as much. Thank you, Eric, for the time tonight. Slanjava. Slanjava. All right. So we're at the top of the hour, or a little over the top of the hour. If you haven't already, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. And hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. And if you have the day off tomorrow, as I do, hope you enjoy the day and the rest of the week. My next video will be on Bunnahabhain. It'll be a special bottling. It'll be Bunnahabhain Fisher Moyne Peter Jimenez cask. Absolutely superb whiskey. And then all week that'll be posted tomorrow. And then all week long will be Bunnahabhain quiz questions. And then next Saturday, I haven't figured out what I want to do in terms of a head-to-head, but I'll do some sort of Bunnahabhain head-to-head between Bunnahabhain and some other distillery. I haven't figured out yet what I'm gonna do, but by the end of the week, I'll have that figured out. All righty. Let's see. Until next time, Slanja.